He built an empire on faith, positivity, and packed stadiums, but now, cracks are beginning to show. Pastor Joel Osteen, once the golden boy of American televangelism, is facing backlash, controversy, and growing questions about the empire he's spent decades building. And whether you love him or loathe him, it's clear, things aren't looking good. For years, Joel Osteen has been one of the most recognizable faces in modern Christianity. As the senior pastor of Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas, America's largest megachurch, he preaches to tens of thousands in person each week and millions more online and on television. Known for his polished image, glowing smile, and relentlessly positive message, Osteen has long positioned himself as a beacon of hope and prosperity. But beneath the surface of his success, troubling headlines and mounting public skepticism have begun to cast a shadow over his once untouchable reputation. It started with whispers, then turned into criticism, and now it's grown into something bigger, a deep divide between his image and his actions. One of the earliest controversies that sparked national outrage came during Hurricane Harvey in 2017, when Osteen was accused of refusing to open his massive church, capable of sheltering thousands, to victims of the devastating storm. While his team insisted the building had sustained damage and wasn't immediately safe, images of the pristine facility quickly made rounds on social media. Critics called it heartless. Others said it was a perfect symbol of how far some religious leaders had strayed from the values they preach. Since then, scrutiny has only intensified. Osteen, whose net worth is estimated to be in the tens of millions, lives in a sprawling $10 million mansion, travels in luxury, and famously does not take a salary from the church, though book deals, speaking fees, and merchandise sales have more than filled the gap. While he insists that his wealth is simply a blessing from God, critics argue that it reflects the worst of the so-called prosperity gospel, the controversial belief that faith can and should lead to financial riches. Now, a new wave of controversy has reignited public attention. Allegations of financial impropriety within the larger world of televangelism, ongoing criticism about transparency at Lakewood Church, and renewed questions about how donation money is actually used have many calling for accountability. Add to that a shifting cultural climate where younger generations are increasingly skeptical of megachurches and organized religion, and suddenly, Osteen's empire seems a lot less unshakable. Even more troubling are the voices from within. Former members and staffers have spoken out, describing a culture that feels more like a corporation than a congregation, where image, influence, and wealth take precedence over community, compassion, and accountability. These stories paint a stark contrast to the polished sermons and televised inspiration millions still tune in for. To be clear, Joel Osteen continues to have loyal followers. His church is still full. His books still sell. And he still commands enormous influence in religious and media circles. But the tide is shifting. Faith, once seen as unshakable, is now colliding with very human flaws, and public patience is wearing thin. Whether this will mark a turning point in his career or simply another storm he weathers remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The halo surrounding Joel Osteen's carefully crafted image is no longer glowing quite as bright. And in today's world, where transparency matters more than ever, it might not be enough to smile through the storm.